Good morning, everyone. My name is Cinzia. I work for the Department of Conservation in Kirikiri as a biodiversity ranger. And today I would like to share with you my work with Pekapeka. And going to try to share my PowerPoint presentation and see what happened. Did it work?
Not yet. We've just got a blank screen at the moment. But here we go. Yep, we got it.
Oh,
it's working.
Great. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about the northern lesser short-tailed bats in Puketi Omahuta Forest. It's a 7 year project, so I won't have the chance to go into any details, but I'm just going to give you an overview of the ecology of the bats and the kind of monitoring and predator control we're doing and what we learned so far and what we hope to achieve in the years to come. First of all, I would just like to introduce you to the short-tailed bats in New Zealand. There is one species, but there are 3 subspecies in New Zealand. The one in the South Island, Central North Island, and the Northern subspecies, which is found in Northland and Little Berry Island. In Northland, there is only one confirmed site, which is in Puketi Omahuta Forest. There are historic records of short-tailed bats being in Wara Wara and Waipua, but there's not been no detection for over 10 years. Because of that and other factors that I'm going to touch on in my presentation, the northern short-tailed bats is considered to be nationally vulnerable, high risk of extinction in the medium term. Just to get you bearing of the site, Puketi Omahuta Forest is a one forest, but is divided by the Waipapa River, and everything west of the Waipapa River is known as Omahuta Forest. You can get to the forest through Mangamuka, and the forest sits halfway between Kaitaia in the north and Kirikiri in the south. Okay, so just a few photos to show you how cute bats are. The tiny animals, they're only 12 to 15 grams. Big ears for echolocation. You can see the little short tail. They got very sharp teeth. Yes, they're cute. Sharp teeth that not afraid to use, and some amazing wings. The short-tailed bats are the one that can fold their wings away and they can crawl on the ground. So they can feed on the wing and they can feed on the ground. So they got a very diverse diet. In the photo, you can see the bats pollinating dactylanthus on the ground. Now, one of the most characteristic behavior of the bats is the roosting. So they get together in tree cavity, in social roost, and then we got the maternity roost, where the female get together to give birth in summer. And outside the breeding season, they gather together, male and female, all together in large social roost. But we got also the solitary roost, when the bats probably need some time away from the rest of the colony. But also the male sits on a solitary roost singing. That's how the male attract females, by singing. The bats, they won't sit all in one roost at once. Each site has got a number of roost trees, and the bats will just use a number of roost trees at any given time, and they will move across, which means that you won't find all the bats in one tree, and that's a challenge when you try to track them down. They also fly long distances. They fly 20K between roost tree and they are sought to feed. So they use the landscape. So when we do the monitoring, the short-tail-based monitoring objectives is to find the roost trees. We need to know where they are, so our distribution, but also we need to know where the large social roosts are for predator control. And once we find the big roost, we use camera and we count the number of beds coming out at nighttime after sunset. That's the only way to get an idea of numbers of beds in a roost tree. How does this look like? What we put mist nets up the same way, the same mist nets used for birds. We track the beds into the nets and we get them out very carefully and with great difficulties. And they get a transmitter. The transmitters are tiny. The battery life is only 2 weeks, but they stay on the bed less than that. So once you got the transmitter on, you got probably 4 or 5 days of work to track the bed down. And after that, we do the ground tracking. Same gear we use for kiwi. Is for any one of you who's done tracking, you know it can be quite tricky, but eventually, a couple of hours later or days later, we stumble on the roost tree and we use high definition technology, as you can see, to put the camera up. So we start in 2018, and so far we found 15 roost trees. Of them, only 3 are very large trees. The remaining 1 are very small. And for comparison, the photo on the left, or the photo where there is not me, there is someone else, that's not Northland, that's Fiordland. That's a massive roost tree. That's the size of a typical social roost tree in anywhere in New Zealand. They would have thousands of beds in there. The photo with me is the social roost in Omahuta. Is typical small roost tree with about 10 to 20 beds in it. We don't really know why they use such a small roost tree, but seems to work for them in Omahuta. So we start in 2018, and that's a close up of Omahuta Forest. In the heart of the forest, there's a kauri sanctuary. The little black dot in the kauri sanctuary is where the colony was found in 1973. So fast forward to 2018, the green dots are the first roost tree we found. There were 2 of them. Year after we went back and we found a few more roost trees. That's a typical cluster. We went back the year after, we went a bit further afield with the roost trees. And a couple of weeks ago, we went back and we found some more roost trees. They are the pink one. So as you can see, as we go back and do more monitoring, we found roost trees that are further afield from where originally the colony was. And what it's telling us is that the user in the landscape invalidates there is having a large predator control network. So thanks to the DOC National Predator Control Program, we've been able to set up about 4,000 hectares of stored and can control. All the red line on the map are the trap lines, and you can see this just capturing all the roost trees in Omahuta at the moment. We were able to put the camera up on the largest social roost, and we counted about 700 beds. It's not a huge number compared to roost trees in central North Island, where they would have 6,000 or 7,000 beds in one roost tree. The biggest challenge, we don't know how many roost trees are out there to be found. and we don't know what proportion we're capturing in our camera. So we don't know if it is 700 bats, is half of the full population or is the whole population. So what next? We're very aware that we need to move to rate control. We don't know what shape and size is going to look like. We're going to carry on with the monitoring and but it's going to be long term. We're talking about 10 years of monitoring, and we know that by then we could have lost the population. I'm very aware that there is a risk of extinction, but inside that, I think we are on the right track. We got sustained large-scale trapping, and I think as a collective, we can make a difference in Northland. All the trapping happening on the ground is going to help reduce the number of predator control, and it's going to affect the way we manage bats in Omahuta. The photo in the slide is just a reminder for me that there's a huge social aspect to this process, to this project. There's been a huge amount of people that have been involved, and there's a lot more happening in the background with the people and HAPO and community groups that I don't have the time to touch on, but definitely this project could not have happened without support of many, many people. And just want to acknowledge some of them might be on the call today, and that's me. That's all I could share today with about bats.
Awesome, thank you, Cinzia. They are so cute. So if anyone's got any questions for Cinzia, just pop your hand up. Oh, John, go for it. Pop yourself off mute. You're on mute still.
Hi, Cinzia. How can people who live in remote places like me add to our knowledge around the distribution and management and biology and so on of this bat? Is there any? I mean, it's a fascinating topic, isn't it? Is there anything that I live in Eastern Bay of Islands at Rafidi, as you know? Is there anything that people like me can contribute to this work regarding these short-tailed bats?
In terms of detecting if there are bats, or in terms of predator control?
You name it.
Well, if you're curious to know if there are bats, you can use acoustic devices.
Yep.
But carry on with your good work with predator control.
Right, and so you wouldn't expect to see them ever. I mean, you have to have the acoustic device, do you? Is there anything that a casual observer can observe at dusk or something like that?
You will see long tail. Yeah, long tail just are far more distributed across the landscape, and they live on not only forest but also on the any kind of different landscape. So you can see them probably on the margin of forest at dusk. Whereas
we won't see the short-tailed ones.
No, okay. They live well within the forest.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Good questions, John. Cinzia, Ivana has asked how much distance will bat listening devices listen to?
Well, they're the same that you use for kiwi listening. So it very much depends where you put the device, very much on the terrain. The device pick up the echolocation, so a bat passing by. So as the kiwi, you won't get the absolute number of bats, but relative abundance. You will know if there are bats in the area.
Mm.
So I can't give you a distance, but like a kiwi, same as a kiwi, depends where you put it.
Yeah. So if seeing as they are quite hard to detect, and you're saying we only have them in Omahuta, is there any work going on to see if they are in other places?
Yeah, they've been trying in water and Waipua to put devices out, but they've not detected any, but it could be down to very low numbers. We put them out in Whangaroa, but anyone, please, if you can get hands on devices, please put them out.
How would people get their hands on the devices?
They can contact me. We got a library at DOC, but there is a waiting list, or the council, or Kiwi Coast has got a number of devices.
Fantastic. Well, if you've got an area that you would like to see if you can detect some short-tailed bats, reach out to Cinzia. Dean has asked, what radius from roofs are being intensively trapped? So how large an area around the roofs that you've identified are you currently trapping intensively?
Well, hold on, I'll take the map up. So this pretty much is with the beds, so you need to go as big as you can. So we went as big as possibly can on public conservation land. So it's 4,000 hectares. And as you can tell from the map, some of them just sit within the trapping line. So we're very aware there is some limitation to our trapping.
And Yvonne here says, we have just bought in bat listening devices from Taniwha Forest yesterday, yet to be analysed. So fingers crossed that you've got some bats there, Yvonne. All righty, any other questions for Cinzia? No, doesn't look like it. All righty, well, thank you for that presentation. It's so interesting and good to see a different species that is being protected through the pest control work that's happening in Northland. So yeah, thanks for your time, Cinzia.